Welcome back to the Real Estate Debate with Mr. Credit on AM 760 KFMB.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for hanging out with us on your Sunday afternoon. Mr. Credit here. Real estate debate's going on. We're debating the hottest topics in San Diego real estate, making you smarter than everyone else, all guaranteed. Judging today's action, my good buddy Eric Levitt is here with Leader One Financial. Eric, how do we look halfway through the debate today?
Well, halfway through, all stays the same. Michael still leading the way. Him and Jeff kind of wrapped up tied this last segment. Okay. I love the selling of the two areas. I'm a huge fan of El Cajon and Oceanside. I do a lot of business in Oceanside, and I like the way you guys are selling the dream, so to speak. I love both areas for FHA and VA loans too. You guys are right on the money. I think you're spot on. Cool.
So how many points does Michael have total?
He's 13.
13 total. Jeff has
8.
8 total. Glenn?
He has 6 total.
6. And Jared?
7 for Jared.
Okay. So still anyone's match, even though Michael has a pretty decent lead as we head into agree or disagree. This is the segment where things
even up quite a bit.
Things can really get crazy, and especially with this particular topic. Now, usually the agree or disagree statement comes from me directly. I did not have to come up with a devil's advocate statement today because we were able to read this quote from the San Diego Union Tribune. Home sales in San Diego County surpassed 4,000 units in April, which is the most since 2013. According to Murtaza Baksamusa, the Director of Planning and Development for the Family Housing Corporation of San Diego, this is the guy that they interview all the time in the Union Tribune. He said, home sales figures only tell part of the story about the current housing market. The unaffordability of the current stock seems eerily similar to the bubble that formed a decade ago. Now, he goes on to continue that conversation and to provide supporting evidence. I want to ask our contestants today if you agree or disagree with this statement. We are starting with Glenn.
I generally disagree with this statement, although I will say there is a little bit of a bubble forming on entry-level housing. Because look at all the areas we just outlined. You know what I mean? A little part of Alicante, Barrio, maybe El Cajon. So, yeah, there's a lot of demand for that. Interest rates are low. It's entry-level housing, so we're seeing that kick up a lot. But your people, that 5 and up, 7, 8 range, it's very stable.
Okay.
So it's not like our entire market is this gigantic bubble, and all of a sudden we're going to crash back to earth. I just don't see that happening.
Okay, so you disagree.
Disagree.
Okay. Jared, agree or disagree with Murtaza Baksamusa? You know what?
I agree because prices are shooting through the roof. We follow the trends of San Francisco. It seems like that if you see what's going on up there right now, the floorboard where 2006 prices hit, they shot right through that, and they're still tracking forward. So I see us continuing to track forward, and you can't really get caught up in the news because if you do, you won't get out there and sell and do the best for your clients. So we just get up there and just go kick butt for our clients every day and do the best we can to get their house sold or find them the right house. It's a great market for both buyers and sellers right now.
Okay, so it sounds like you disagree with the statement from Murtaza.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure I know where you stand.
Yeah.
That's all right. So no one agrees with him so far. Michael Gaddis, do you agree with Murtaza Baksamusa, who says that the unaffordability of the current stock seems eerily similar to the bubble that formed a decade ago?
I disagree. First of all, I think the people who responded to him in the panel in that article, I don't think any of them really answered the question as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good responses. But while I am concerned about the tenuous nature of qualifying, I mean, Eric would be a better person to respond about this. But how are people qualifying for these loans? Well, back in 10 years ago, they were getting stated income loans. They were getting 2 and 3 year interest-only loans that were converting over to high margin loans with a high index. So we were setting ourselves up for a disaster back then, but now they're full doc. I mean, people are, most of the people are bringing it in full documentation. So, they're doing full underwriting on these people. There are very few 100% financings that are out there. VA and maybe a credit union or two has some crazy thing that we talked about before. But I mean, in general, People are qualifying for these loans. Now, with that being said, is it tenuous? Yeah, it's tenuous because these people are basically qualifying to buy mainly, I would imagine, on two incomes. Most people are qualifying because they have a household of two or more people. They're using both of their incomes to qualify. So if one person gets sick or there's a layoff or something like that, it could cause some many problems. But overall, I think comparing what happened 10 years ago with the neg-ams and all the crazy loan products they were putting out to today, there's no way that we're anywhere near a disaster like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, it is definitely a different situation, and he does, quote, use the word eerily similar to the bubble that formed a decade ago. Jeff Campbell, do you agree or disagree with Murtaza?
I vehemently disagree. I got to tell you that the response from the people on this there's a lot of glad handing. It's, yes, I'm a salesman and everything's bright and then buy now and always do it. And you got that kind of whitewash response from these people. Here's the reason, however, that there's hope and there's a bright light is right now we're at a low. We're at, these statistics just came out, 5.6% unemployment. Remember, it was 10.5% in 2010, and we're at 5.6%. Our permits, our new building permits, we're right now 14,900 is the projected for year end, and that's the highest since 2005. So we've got greater building, lower unemployment, and we're here selling sunshine in San Diego. There, not only is there not a bubble, but the bubble that they referred to was potential underwater loans. And that's a completely different bubble that they're talking about when the short sales came about and so on and so forth. And there was a big jump in this article to try to say that a bubble similar to there is now existing in affordability or lack of affordability. So the article was written poorly and they pulled people in that I don't think addressed the article at all.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Unfortunately, this happens. But this particular guy is the one guy that they go to all the time. So whatever his credentials are, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Nancy Reagan went to an astrologist. That doesn't make it good or right. So, you could go to the same dude all the time, and that's not going to make it a true story.
No, and I don't know if it's true, and I don't know if he's saying. I don't think he said anything that this is definitely going to be the case. But what I think was interesting about what he said was that he said this does look eerily similar, and here are some other things that look similar about it. But I didn't feel a doom and gloom pitch in the article. But I thought that there could have been some more well thought out responses by the people who were on the panel, unfortunately. So Jeff, appreciate your commentary. All right. So everyone's had a chance to go here on agree or disagree. I'm going to go ahead and just throw my 2 cents out there. When you talk about a bubble forming, the assumption that you're making is that there's a pop that's coming, and when that pop happens, the hits the fan and goes everywhere. That I don't think is going to happen. It's just a completely different situation. If you were to recall, in the last bubble, people if you had a rental property, you couldn't rent it out. I mean, not only could you not rent it out for what the mortgage payment was, you couldn't rent it out. No one was renting. The rental market was dead because everyone was buying a house. Today, go look up rentals in your area. Go look and see what it costs to rent the house that you live in right now.
You can buy a property in my hot area, El Cajon, for the same price that you can rent it for even 15% down.
Yeah.
And if you structure it right, you can borrow, depending on the right loan, you can borrow part of your down, and it makes so much sense. And then after tax savings, there is no bubble out there. There is unaffordability throughout the state of California, but you know what? Then I think that you have to buy within your means and move into an area within your means.
Remember, affordability is something that is subjective to the extent that it's based on what? A comparison to something else. I mean, you can't just say it's affordable or unaffordable based on one particular variable. You have to look at, well, what are the alternatives? If all of us in here decide to sell the shirts off our back for $50 and somebody needs a shirt, then they're going to have no choice but to pay $50 because they need a shirt. But if someone in here is like, I'll sell mine for $5, then that's a different story. So you have to have something to compare it to. And what you compare it to, either you're buying or renting, or you're living on the street. Those are your 3 options. So if you look at renting, in this particular market, rents are way up. And that supports the real estate market. I don't think people realize that. And we can talk about the loans for sure and how that makes the market less fragile. It makes it less fragile because people have money down. That's the most important thing. They have skin in the game. Back then, people, 100% down. No skin in the game. It's easy to walk away. Hey, it's a non-recourse state. Michael knows he's an attorney. Non-recourse state. You buy a house, doesn't matter whether it's a rental property or not. You buy a house, purchase money loan, no non-recourse. So it's like, all right, well, if you put money into it, now you're more apt to stick with it.
We were built on a house of cards last time. 100% stated income loans. They were converting. I mean, it was when that bubble burst, disaster happened. But this is different. I mean, as Eric can attest, most of the people do full doc loans now. Money, just like you mentioned, they put money down. It's not like it was before at all. So using the quantifier eerily in that, it's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
I would agree that it's not. You can't really say it. Now, could you say the market's high? That we might be at a high point in the market, and we might see it soften in the winter, or we might see some things change. I think you could say that, but to say that it's eerily similar is off base. So unfortunately, I also disagree with Murtaza Baksamusa in this particular article through the San Diego Union Tribune. All right, coming up, it's time for listing of the week. You're going to find out the hottest properties for sale here in San Diego coming up, and we will crown a champion. It's time for the win right here on the Real Estate Debate. Stick around. We'll continue to make you smarter than everyone else.